Homestuck 2 is on a really long hiatus, because Andrew Hussey said the fandom was mean. A bit of an oversimplification on my part, but super funny considering it's coming from this clown. Sorry. Someone's gotta at least try to be the mature adult in this. The slow, incriminating HR nightmare that is the heat death of Homestuck and What Pumpkin. I'm not gonna repeat my previous statements on this particular subject. Sarah Zed has covered more controversies in her own videos, and I've been regretting years of life choices over what I've learned. Jen in editing, don't forget to add the cards to the video. Okay, thanks. Back to Homestuck 2. We don't know when it's going to get updated, but it has been confirmed to be the last, with all the remaining chapters dumped in one go. I just thought I'd take the initiative and get the recap out there, just in case it is sooner rather than later. There are fewer chapters this round, but as usual, each will only be described in one paragraph per chapter. For the most part. Chapter 14 was a 3-parter, so each update is getting its own section. Let's get started. Chapter 11. In Meat Universe, we follow a crudely drawn spacecraft where, surprise, its passengers are traveling from Candy Universe, sporting new looks. Aradia wears black firefly robes, while Dead Tier Calliope number 2 rocks a dead teen Jade, and Candy Dave is encased in a robot body because Obama told him to. They talk about ditching their friends and significant others, Aradia being hella old, and confirming that the events of PesterQuest are considered canon here. The two psychopomps proceed to dunk on Dave so hard that Calliope feels a disturbance in the Force and smacks herself in the face. And now, let us take a moment to appreciate the second sound page of Homestuck 2. And that concludes the second sound page for Homestuck 2. Chapter 12. Back in... Oh wait, this is still Meat Universe. This is getting confusing. Someone help me. Dave raps about the Little Prince. Dave Cat brings up why adding eternal youth to the conditional immortality system was probably a really bad idea. And Carcat says something super wholesome, which sounds like whoever is writing this section is waving a red flag in our faces. Dave Cat then proceeds to make out on top of the dryer. This will have consequences later. Chapter 13. Meanwhile, in Candyverse, the day of Gamzee's funeral has arrived. Jane eulogizes a speech that certainly sounds like something both over-personal and something she pulled out of her butt, while Jake, his granddaughter, and his ghost ex listen on. For a few seconds. Released from her leash, Yiffy starts to disrespect her surroundings to the point where she's able to shake off the zaps from her shock collar. Jane is about to call for reinforcements when an explosion from outside the church shatters the windows and stops the corpse party in its tracks. Wait, did our good guys just bomb a church? Chapter 14. A Tale in 3 Acts. Part 1. Back at Roxy's house, both John and Vriska lament at being sidelined in the Resistance latest plan, but at least, from John's perspective, they get to spend time with their respective kids. Vriska, on the other hand, decides to pull a Helsing Ultimate Abridged and leaves for an enthusiastic walk with Vrissy while the Egberts aren't looking. Back at the funeral, Jade and Rose pick up their daughter from church by threatening to kill Tavros. I know it's staged, you know it's staged, but Kanaya in both universes is having the worst time due to 2 separate betrayals from Rose. I wouldn't push her. Part 2. Back with the Vriskas, it's revealed that Vriska's plan to fix the world is to play Spurb again. You know, the game that destroys the world and kills almost everyone. She also mentions helping Vrissy go God tier. So, after everything she's gone through, Vriska is still willing to hurt people to make them into her ideal version. The Vriskas get captured by Jane's stormtroopers, all according to Keikaku. Jane starts air raiding the city, and one of the buildings targeted is the iconic Egbert House. Part 3. John watches his house burning down, but he's not alone. We get our first full-body appearance of Candy Carcat, and he looks just as Kojima as we assumed. He tells John off for being stupid, and John proceeds to cry as he reveals that Dave is dead. Despite all the tough guy crap he was touting, Carcat is predictably upsetty spaghetti. Chapter 15. We return to Meat Universe with Roxy admitting they are 100% done with the Little Prince analogies. And with Dave Cat. The amount of PDA on this spaceship is too dang high. In unrelated news, Roxy says that Dave is probably going to be the one who has to kill Dirk, if they can't get the Machiavellian prince to simmer down. In even more unrelated news, Calliope has gotten into the habit of dwelling in the vents and sneaking meat inside of Carcat's shoes, for some reason. Like they're the world's most socially deprived ninja cat. And Chapter 16. Candy John is summoned back to Roxy's place, initially assuming his ex-wife wants to hook up. But Roxy shoots down the few remaining dreams of the oxygen shippers and moves on. Roxy reveals her secret lab, we get our first appearance of Candy Calliope, who has her cheek marks filled in, and I have questions for both of those, really. Calliope reveals that John has to bust Vriska out of jail because she's the Mary Sue on which their entire universe revolves around, and I'm only being partially sarcastic on that point. But ultimately, this entire chapter had the aroma of the Toblerone cave wish, and if I, a woman with a history of terrible reading comprehension, caught the hints of June Egbert's eventual existence, I know for sure most of you did too. And now you're all caught up on what happened last time in Homestuck 2!
Hey there. Consider becoming a patron, just like the phenomenal Bleed Red, Alexander Madeline, Uranium Coffee, and Cloudy Days.